On your paper today, you're going to be using a black crayon to create a border all the way around the paper. So I'm starting over here, taking my time, and drawing a straight line, and stopping right about there. Not all the way to the end. I'm going to go down. I'm going to be making a large rectangle within the inside of the paper. On this side, and then you're going to connect the bottom with your crayon. Then, using your crayon, you're going to make the line darker and thicker. So pressing harder and making the line thicker. Now after you're done creating your border, you're going to think about all the different types of lines we learned about and how those lines show different things. Like Vincent van Gogh used wavy lines and spirals to create a sense of movement in his artwork. And when you learned about Harold and the adventures he went on, he drew zigzags to represent scariness, especially with his dragon that he drew. So you're going to think about all the different types of lines, and on one side of your paper, touching the black border that you created, you are going to draw different types of lines. So this is going to be like waves, and I'm pressing hard with my crayon to make sure that it really shows up, and I'm going to stop right there. So I'm going to connect this side to this side using a line. Now I'm going to think of a different type of line, and I think I'm going to connect the top to the bottom, and I think I'm going to use a zigzag. Again, press hard with the crayon, take your time. I think my zigzag's going to get bigger down here. There we go. And if you need to go over your line again to make it thicker, that'd be a really good idea. We really want that black line to show up. Now I think I'm going to make intersecting lines. So I think I'm going to put one here all the way to this side, and I'm going to do a wavy line. And actually I think I'm going to turn it into a loop-de-loop too. There we go. And again, I'm going to go over that line just to make it a little bit thicker. Alright, I think it needs one more up here somewhere. Maybe I'll go across. And I'm going to do a straight line. Make it nice and thick. But I'm also going to turn that into a dashed line. Like that. You can also turn the paper if it helps you. I'm going to make a curved line over here. There we go. We will come back to the border later on, but right now you're going to be needing a paintbrush. And if you have watercolor paints like this at home, and then a little cup of water, and we're going to be starting to paint the inside of our design. If you don't have paint at home, you can click on the next part of the video where I demonstrate how to use markers and water to create paint. So using your paintbrush, you can get some water on your paintbrush and decide what color. So I'm going to start with yellow. So I'm going to add a few drops of water in the yellow. Use your paintbrush, swirl it around, start to pick up that paint. Decide where you want that yellow. So when you created different lines within your artwork, you also created different shapes. So inside here is a shape, and inside here is another shape. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to start using yellow to paint the inside of the shape I created over here using the lines I made. And then whenever you need more of that yellow, you can dip it in here, or more of the water, you can dip it in the water. Pulling the paintbrush, so pull, 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 grab more. Take your time, paint inside the lines the best you can. So there is our first shape we created using the lines that we made with the crayon. Now you must rinse your paintbrush out, making sure it's nice and clean, and then you can grab a different color. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few drops of water into the green and choose the next shape. So I think I'm going to paint this one green over here. So pull the paintbrush, never push the paintbrush, always pull inside the lines. Grab more, pull until your shape is complete. And then go ahead and rinse that out and just repeat. Okay, this is going to be the marker and water method. So if you don't have watercolor paints at home, you're going to use markers. I'm using a little plastic sheet. Saran wrap or plastic wrap works really well for this. Just lay it flat on the table, and I think I'm going to use purple. You're going to color on the plastic. So get some of that pigment on the plastic. Then take your paintbrush, add a few drops of water. This is going to be creating your paint. Using your paintbrush, swirl it around, and go ahead and use that pigment to start painting. This is a really great alternative if you do not have any watercolor paint at home. And make sure you use water-based markers just like these, or Crayola works, but do not use permanent marker because it will not work. Now once you're all done with your painting, we can start working on the border. Another reason we made a border is so that all of our messy paint stayed inside the lines and not onto the table. This is a really, really good trick if you want to make your own painting but you don't want to get the table really messy. Just make a nice border around it. With our border, you're going to be thinking of different types of lines once again, and you're going to be drawing those lines with black crayon all the way around. Now, if you wanted to take it a step further, you can also add designs and patterns inside each shape. This is optional if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more. I'm going to. So I only wanted a few lines inside of some of the shapes, but not all of them, because I really like the way this looks. You decide how creative you want to be with your artwork.